This is Chad's youngest daughter. You are listening to my daddy, Chuck, and Barton on the Girl Dad Podcast. Please like and subscribe and smash that like button.
Brandon Moses, here we are again, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me back.
You just sat with us on the Vulgar Display podcast, and I actually was more excited to have you on this one, maybe even more than the metal one.
I think I might have been more excited to come on this one as well.
So welcome to the Girl Dad podcast. We are live in the barn. We have, and you just heard one of them. I would consider you maybe a newish father.
Oh, yeah. 13 months in now.
Still learning some of the ropes, I would guess. And
every day. It's a new thing every single hour, actually, by two that I have.
And your story's, a lot different from mine. You actually have twins.
I do.
Twin daughters that are 13 months old. Identical twins?
No, fraternal. So
okay.
They don't look too much alike. You can tell them apart pretty good.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And I've only seen one in real life, and she's sitting on your lap right now. But all the pictures I see, they look really similar to me. But
there's some pictures that we take, they look like identical twins, but maybe it's just me seeing them every day. From the moment they came out, though, I could tell the difference.
Yeah.
To me, the hair gives it away. They have different noses and mouths.
And I think it's different when you see them every day because, me and my wife will go places and they're like, oh, the girls are so grown up and big. And I'm like, what? They look the same to me, but then I'll see old pictures and, oh my gosh, it sometimes it tears in my heart because I see how young they were and how little they were and see them grow I think it's really one of the coolest things really about life. I know that might sound cheesy or cliche, but seeing your kids grow up like that and, developing their own little personalities and especially like when they take after you and their mom or whatever, you kind of see the personality start to develop. And
oh, yeah. Here, I've noticed here lately, they laugh like me. And it just tickles me every time I hear them laugh like me. Yeah. And just being around me a lot, they have that same cadence in the way I speak. And it's just, I don't know, it warms my heart every time.
So I do that too, where I will catch them saying just like a saying or just like a phrase a lot. And then I'll hear myself say it at like work or something, and I can't really think of an example right now, but it's funny, all the things that they pick up. And maybe I pick it up from them too,
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of that cliche of you learn just as much from them as they do you. But I am a believer in that because fatherhood's the greatest thing I ever could have been a part of. And
nothing even close, really.
Yeah, pretty neat.
It is.
But it is different. I would guess. I don't have boys, but, I would consider you a guy's guy, right? You're a sports guy. You're a music guy.
I like to think that I'm a guy's guy.
We got the same type of personality in that we are guy's guy. Mm-hmm. We like sports. We like all those manly things. So I don't know how it was for your experience. The thought of me having girls at first was like, oh, my gosh.
I was scared. I was scared, especially when I found I was going to have two girls at the same time. It was a culture shock for sure, but I got a little used to it because my brothers all have girls, so I was a little used to it already, but it was definitely going to be a challenge, I knew, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't.
Yeah, so our girls were the first grandkids on my side of the family. On my wife's side, there's a bunch of nephews, and they have my niece. Basically, I was around boys more than I was girls, even little kids, and I couldn't imagine what it was like getting the news that you're having two. Do you remember that day?
Yesterday, it was yesterday. So I can tell you that story. So we went in, and so he first starts doing the thing, and the very first thing out of his mouth was, well, I guess there's a trend going on. And the nurse that was helping him said, what's going on? He goes, twins again. And I just put my head in my hands because about 4 years ago, my mom actually said to us that you guys are the ones that are going to have twins.
Oh, wow.
She actually called it. And for some reason, I felt the same way. I felt like she was right the whole time.
Wow.
So when he told me that, it was a shock, but at the same time, it was almost like this was kind of meant to be. And then he said, wait a second, what do I hear here? And he thought that he heard a third heartbeat, and that was going to be that one. My heart really dropped at that point.
Yeah.
But that quickly was over with.
And I know some people with twins, but I could not imagine. I remember what it was like when I was a first-time father. And even before we had our oldest, just the anxious feelings and the nervousness and sort of this primal, like I have to be the protector and the provider and all those things you kind of hear comes with fatherhood. You know, I had all those feelings of like, you know, I remember thinking in my head, I need to make the most money that I can now and forever because I have to be the provider, you know. So I couldn't imagine going from that level of anxiousness that I was experiencing and doubling it basically. So like you went from 0 kids to 2, like you skipped like first base. You like hit a double. So you guys live on the West Coast.
Yeah, right on the Oregon coast, right by the ocean.
Pretty land up there?
Oh yeah, beautiful land up there. Clean air. I mean, it's a great place to raise kids. It really is. But
you grew up from this area that we're in. We're in Southeast Missouri, a little bit south of St. Louis here.
Born in Farmington. Spent the first 4 years of my life in Deloge, and then moved to Phoenix for a few years, and then came back and spent my high school days here.
And their mom's family is on the West Coast, and most of yours is here, right?
Correct.
So you do some traveling.
A lot of traveling. Then we have family in Phoenix too, so we travel there every year as well. So we come here every year. We go to Phoenix every year.
You want to talk?
Did you go? You haven't gone to Phoenix with us yet, remember? We haven't gone with you.
So, you know, we've identified what works for us when we travel. Now, my girls are older. You know, my youngest is 6. So traveling's, I guess, a little bit easier than, one, and especially having 2 1-year-olds. So what we do every summer for our vacation is we rent an RV and we travel all over. You know, they can kind of go take a nap when they need to and use the restroom when they need to. But I couldn't imagine what it'd be like flying with, you know, even 1-1-year-old, but sometimes 2 1-year-olds.
I haven't had to fly both of them by myself yet. We have flown once with the 4 of us, and it wasn't that bad. When you have one extra hand, when it's 2 on 2, it's really not that bad. But when it's 1 on 2, it's they take advantage of you pretty good. But when it's 1 on 1, you know, the flight out here, it could get a little cramped. Everything just kind of feels cramped because, you know, we're already on the plane that feels cramped, but then these girls make me so scatterbrained that my brain just feels cramped all the time. And just trying to remember everything before you get on the flight, remembering everything while you're on the flight, and, you know, it's just constantly double checking things.
And I don't know how I would do that. I wouldn't do that well. You know, I rely heavily.
I wing it for the most part. I will say that. I should have more of a plan than I do, but because a lot of times they don't go on a good schedule. We've tried from day one to get them both on a good schedule. It don't work. They're so erratic with their behavior every day that we just kind of have to go day by day to see what we're going to do that day. Hey.
So when you say good schedules, do you try to get them on the same schedule? Is that important?
Yes, we try as much as we can, but they love to wake each other up. If one's falling asleep and the other one isn't, the other one's going to be awake pretty soon because she ain't going to have it. If you try to, and they have this thing where they won't let me put them down. So that part's kind of, they let other people put them down. They let their mama put them down and their grandparents put them down and their babysitter put them down. But for some reason, daddy can't. Yeah. So that makes it kind of difficult throughout my day because that's the other part. I'm the stay-at-home dad. And that was kind of hard to kind of wrap my head around, was knowing that I wasn't going to be the provider. You know, my wife was going to be the provider and I was going to be the stay-at-home dad. We were going to do a complete switcheroo. Yeah. And I had to get my mind right for that was probably the toughest thing out of anything. Obviously being anxious and nervous about just being a father in general was all there. And then, you know, adding times 2, but then knowing that I was going to be the one at home with them all the time, getting my mind right for that. That was 9 months of mental preparation, and I still am not prepared for it today. No.
Yeah, my oldest is 11, and I still don't feel prepared. There's things that come up, and you'll hear, you know, Dad say that a lot. It's like, wait till they're this age, wait till they're this age, you know, and I catch myself doing that too, where I'll be like, oh, wait till they're 6 and wait till they're 9 and 11 and all that. But man, at every age, I will say this is like every age comes with a new experience and a new learning process. You know, I don't feel like parenthood is ever like black and white, and it's like you're saying, you're continually learning.
Yeah, it's all a gray area. The entire thing is a gray area.
And what I see too, I feel like we raised all three of our kids the same way. I feel like the parenting was pretty much the same, obviously same parents and biological makeup, but it's so funny to see the different personalities between the three. Yeah. Are your twins like that? Or are they? Oh,
they couldn't be any more different. We thought maybe since being twins and being around each other all the time, they would pick up on each other and kind of just be the same, have that twin vibe, but not really. They are two completely different kids.
Wow.
They couldn't be any farther from each other. So they fight. Oh my God, they fist fight already. Usually my firstborn will start that. She doesn't like to let the other one forget that she's 27 minutes older, but
she reminds her.
She reminds her every day, every single day.
I mean, I gotta ask the question about the diapers. That's a lot of fun, right?
It's I'm pretty good at it at this point.
Really?
I've gotten it down pretty good.
Yeah, because you basically double, right? You're double time.
Everything's double every day. So.
Yeah, and it's been a bit since I've had to do any kind of diaper stuff, but a pee diaper I could handle, but I was never good with anything else, and my wife was a rock star in that regard.
I just had to kind of go for it. It was either that or they wouldn't get changed.
Right.
So it's not my favorite thing to do. It's probably my least favorite out of being a parent, I would say right now, is changing a poopy diaper. And especially when you're changing one, you got the other one pulling out your leg the entire time while you're in, and your hand gets into the poo and then.
Oh, yeah. I definitely don't miss those days. The more independent they are, the easier it is.
Which they're getting at that age now where they are starting to get a little bit more independent, which is nice. I am looking forward to the potty training stage. That is what I'm looking forward to the most right now.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that. And then helping me clean. That is the other thing. I cannot wait until they can help me clean. I am looking forward to that a lot.
I wonder when that starts, hon.
What's that?
Helping me clean.
Oh.
We're working on 11 and we still don't have much of that. But maybe we'll get there eventually. When she's like 20 or something, maybe. Just kidding. Oldest one. You mentioned off air that because you guys are out on the West Coast and away from your family, you do a lot of FaceTiming.
Yeah.
And you said that there's even like bonds being made with your mom and cousins and aunts and uncles and everything because of the FaceTiming.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing that they can do that, especially at that age. I wasn't expecting that to be a thing, actually. And the first time they saw my mom, even back, 8 months ago when we were here for the first time, that you could tell they knew her more than they knew everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to see that. And then now it's even more, because I don't FaceTime my brothers as often as I should. But maybe if I did that, my oldest might like my older brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I get the uncle thing sometimes too, where the nephews will come in the room and they're like, oh, there's Uncle Chad.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's when you said that, that's interesting to me, and probably helpful for you guys, and probably helps your family out too, to be able to see them in that way and build that bond being so far away from each other.
Yeah, it's amazing that we can actually do that in this time that we're living in, because it is hard being up there with no family. It really, especially now being a father. I never thought that I would be, so alone, I guess, trying to do this, and it's a whirlwind sometimes, but it would be nice having family around. It really would. But I think it's making me a little stronger trying to do it this way, though. I think it is. But I mean, don't get me wrong. My wife's family is amazing. They support us great. They are perfect with these girls. But it would be nice to have family around. It would.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine doing it that way. Me and my wife are pretty lucky that both of our we live in the same area that both of our families do, and they're super involved in all of our girls' lives. And super helpful too, because there's sometimes where me and my wife we have to not be daddy and mommy for just 10 minutes or whatever.
You need that break. You have to have that break, or you will have a nervous breakdown. If you don't. And we're good about that. My wife and I are good about getting our personal space in and clearing our heads for a little bit. Because with twins, even with one, I'm sure you got to clear your head. But with twins, you really need that time to just kind of decompress. You don't get it very often. It's hard to find those times to do it. But
I remember when I was a first-time father, I remember having those feelings of like almost guilt in a way that I felt like I needed a little bit of space. I needed a little bit of like to feel like, and especially with girls, like I wanted to go out and feel like a man and get in a fight or something. I wanted a little bit of time away where I didn't have to be changing the diapers or whatever. And I say that my wife does 90% of anything that has to do with parenting. So I do very little, but I do remember having those guilty feelings of needing a break. And if I had like advice, if anybody would even care to ask me what advice I would have for like brand new parents, it's okay to do that. You got to have your sanity too. You got to have a little bit of balance in your life where it's not just your dad all the time, where you can go let loose a little bit, whatever that means for you.
Yeah, it's very important for your well-being. It really is to keep your mind. It's good. It helps you be a better parent. It really does to get that break away and just, be yourself for a little bit, because when you're a dad, you're a dad, and it's not, it's you, but you're a whole different person. I feel like a totally different person when I'm a dad. And when I'm by myself or, with friends, I feel different than I am when I am with them. So, but it's important to have that balance. It really is.
So I just went on just a one night overnight trip here recently. And even that one night, I caught myself just missing my girl so much. It was a work trip, but we were having a good time too. So, I tried to keep my mind off it as much as I could, but I'm sure you experienced that being away.
Yes.
Being away.
Being away from my youngest right now, it's tough. But again, FaceTime helps there. So I get to see her still every day, but I miss her so much. Every time I think about her, my heart just dropped. But and I know that she's missing her sister too. Every time she gets a Snapchat from her mom or we get FaceTime, she just lights right up. She's missing her sister big time.
Yeah. And you guys are headed back that way soon in a couple of days?
Yeah, here Wednesday we're heading back. Wish we could stay a little longer, but I do got to get back to her.
Absolutely, I understand that, and I've enjoyed that we finally got to hang out this time. This last time in the fall you were here, we didn't get to hang out like we wanted to.
I know.
Yeah, it's been nice hanging out with you, man. We haven't seen each other in several years, and you get to see my girls, and I get to see at least one of yours.
Yeah,
and I told my wife this. I think I told you this the other night. I follow you guys on Facebook or Snapchat or whatever, and I love seeing your little girls. They're so cute, and
thanks, man.
Love seeing you be a dad. And
honestly, I think I was born for this. I really do. I feel like this was what I was put here for. I really do feel that.
I get the same sense. What about, like I said, we're guys. What about the girly stuff? The pinks and the purples and the outfits and the hair. And
I actually love dressing them up. I do. I'm terrible at hair, though. I have to have somebody come in and help me with the hair. I need to start practicing. But other than that, I love little baby girl clothes are the cutest thing in the world, like their little shoes. So I love dressing them up. So that part I like. We play little girly games all the time. I don't care about all that. I mean, I shouldn't say I don't care about all that. It doesn't bother me. I love doing it. I'm going to do the teacup parties and all that. And, if they want to do gymnastics, I'll support that. But I really do hope they play sports. I really hope they are into sports. Luckily, their mom is into sports, so they got a little bit of both. Because I do want to watch some sports for my kids. Really do.
So we didn't push the sports stuff too much. I didn't want to be that guy and I heard somebody say it sometime, or maybe it's a common phrase, but they're like, don't raise your girls to be boys. I didn't want to ever do that. I'm sure some of my guys' stuff rubs off on them naturally. I told you earlier that my girls are all football fans. They love NFL, watching the NFL and the Green Bay Packers, so they love that stuff. And I'm sure that's my influence, whether I even mean to do it or not. But that always kind of rings in my ears of, don't raise your daughters to be boys just because you are a boy.
That's a good point.
But I try to embrace anything that they're into. I'm a music guy. We're music guys. So it's really neat for me right now because my girls are super into music and instruments and trying to learn things. And
that's awesome.
But no matter what it was, no matter if it was something I was into or not, I try to embrace it and try to understand it. But it doesn't always work out. I'm sure Dad's, not the coolest, especially to my oldest a lot of the time. But
we can be a little cringe sometimes.
Yeah, and the older I get, the cringier I get, I'm sure, and should be the first to tell you. But
that's something that my wife and I always talked about. We were never going to force them into anything because I grew up in a family that was musical, and my dad was all into sports, but he never forced us to do anything, even with music. And it was something that I think he was forced to do. So it kind of took the joy out of it. So I think that rubbed off on him, and he was like, I'm not going to do that with my kids. And I'm definitely not going to do it with my girls. I want to support them with anything they do, maybe push them in certain directions just to kind of get them going. But for the most part, kind of let them do their thing. And like you said, try to support everything. You're not going to be into everything because it is a different world. You know, those are a whole different world.
And I will say that they've played everything, but we never forced it. Like, I wanted them to find something that they did enjoy, no matter what it was. Yeah. So we tried everything out. We did the softball. We did.
That's the way to do it.
We did, you know, the soccer, the basketball, all that stuff. And it only really feels like recently they've kind of found their own, what their little niche or whatever it is, their own little lane. So then, like, we're really embracing that. You know, you'd see my daughter walk in here just a little bit ago. She just came from volleyball. So that's her thing now. She's volleyball. Yeah. And then the other two really like gymnastics. So obviously we're going to support that and do whatever they want us to on that end. But yeah, it's cool to see them finally kind of really get into something.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to, is them finding the thing that they really just love doing. I mean, they like a lot of different things so far. They love music, love playing music. I have a little keyboard at home that they love pounding on. I got some bongos for them.
Nice.
Actually, their mom got them those, but they love playing on those. But again, I'm not going to force them. I would love for them to play music. I want to play music with them. I would love to be able to do that. I want them to enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. So, and I don't want them to resent anything. You know, I don't want them to get burnt out on anything either. So, and you can get burnt out on all this stuff, even music. I've gotten burnt out on music before. And sports, especially if you start sports at a real young age, you can get burnt out on that real fast. And I want to try to avoid that. But I'm just excited to see what they're into. You know, right now it's just about everything, but just to see what kind of person or people they become.
Hi, this is Chad's middle daughter, and you're listening to my dad, Chuck, and Barton on the Girl Dad podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications.
This video is brought to you by the Wellness Investors. The Wellness Investors are a collective of individuals with uniquely diverse backgrounds. Our goal is to inspire, motivate, and entertain. Visit thewellnessinvestors.com and start enhancing your life, one sector at a time.
So they're at 13 months, and you've heard, I'm sure, of the terrible twos.
Oh yeah, I have my older brother. His youngest is right in the smack dab in the middle of the terrible twos, and it could be wild sometimes.
So my own experience, it wasn't two so much as it was three for my girls. I don't know why. I don't know if that's common or the terrible twos just flows off the tongue better, but it seemed like when they were three, man, they were a handful.
Between the ages that my girls are right now, but my girls don't stop. There's no stop. If they're sleeping, that's when they're stopping. But if they're not sleeping, they are just constantly going. They would never just kind of sit and chill. I want that so bad. I need that sometimes. And I see other kids, being nice and calm. And I'm just, I want that so bad. Why are my girls so insane?
And I just think it's, you have two.
I think that's all it is. Because when you do split them up, they are super calm. So that's all it is. It's just having another one around, feed off of each other.
And we experienced that too with some of my kids. They'll be having, how you have a bad day. Like we just had a time change, right? Mm-hmm. We just sprung forward. So their schedules are off, and even as an 11-year-old, you can definitely tell when things are out of the norm.
Yeah, we have the time change just from Oregon to Missouri. My girl, she's still on Oregon time. So that it's been kind of a rough last 6 days.
I didn't even think of that. So that puts on top of what's already different.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids love routine. They thrive on schedules and like you're saying, nap schedule, feed schedule. The better schedule you have, it seems like they thrive.
Yeah, and the days that we can get them on schedule, those are the good days. And you can just tell it in their personalities, just the way they carry themselves that day. And I always tell them, like, look, this is what happens when you nap on time and you eat on time. They never listen.
You know, I remember, especially early on, it's not as bad now because I said they're pretty independent now. But, you know, that final where you're laying them down and they go to sleep at night and you just like this wave of comfort is over you. You're just like,
I get to do that twice a night, every night.
Yeah, so it's just like you finally get to breathe. You know, it feels like
it is. It really. I'm trying to picture it in my mind now, and it's the best feeling of the day, because I think I do everything for that feeling at the end of the day, actually.
That's where you can finally take that breath of fresh air and like, we made it one more day. That's all we're trying to do is make it one more day. Mm-hmm. We got Brandon Moses, an old good buddy of mine, in the house tonight where we're talking girl dad and raising girls. He's got 2, I got 3. So between the two of us, almost a starting lineup, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, you have a bunch of nieces too. How many?
There's 7 between me and my brothers. I have 2 brothers. We have 7 girls.
That's crazy. That is wild. Crazy.
Yes, we got to have a boy at some point, or our name's going to die off. So we got to do that.
So I have the same issue. Where I'm the last male winch, and it's all girls, and a little bit of extra pressure on that. But once I had my third, I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, if there's any more, it'll be 1 more. But our luck, it'll be 2 more.
yeah, 2 or 3.
But it's definitely just a 1 more thing. But more than likely, this is it. I would imagine this is going to be it. Plus, I'm already almost 40, so
that's
I don't want to be in my 60s watching them graduate. I'm already going to be in my 50s watching them graduate. That's already daunting enough to think about.
Well, yeah, what about that? Because me and my wife, a lot of her friends and even some of my friends had kids early on.
Yeah, a lot of my friends did too.
And we waited a bit, not as old as you, but we didn't wait as long as you did. Mm-hmm. But we waited, I would say, longer than a lot of people that we were close with did. Yeah. What do you think about that? Do you think?
Well, it wasn't ideal. I will say that it's definitely not ideal. But I've learned a lot more throughout the years, so it got me a lot more prepared for, especially being an uncle already, definitely got me more prepared for this. And I think if I would have done this when I was 19, 20, 21, I mean, you knew me better than anybody at that age. Do you think I would have, you think being a father at that time would have been good? Probably not. Probably better that I waited. But again, it's not ideal to wait as long as I did, which it's why I probably won't have any more after this. It's because I'm already too old as it is.
I was glad me and my wife waited like we did. I wasn't ready to be a dad until I became a dad. And even when we planned our first
we did
one,
too.
right? And even after we planned it, it was still a shock.
Yeah, absolutely. The day that she told me, it's still a shock to this day.
And I remember having that, like, we planned it, right? And everything went according to plan, We were blessed in that way. But I remember her telling me, and I was like shocked, like it wasn't planned or something.
I was actually going on about a story because I had just rejoined Facebook at that time. And I was telling a story about Nate Barron, actually. And my wife comes out of the bathroom, and I'm just rambling on about him. And I don't remember what I was saying. And finally, she goes, "Brandon, shut up." I go, "What?" She goes, and she picked up the stick. She goes, "It's happened." And I just dropped to my knees. To my knees, and I crawled over to her and hugged her and kissed her stomach. And because it was still a shock. Because I didn't think it was ever going to happen. Because we had a couple of times where, we thought it was going to happen and got the false test. And it just, every time there was a false one, that it was just heartbreaking every single time. And watching my wife just want it so bad and then seeing that negative sign pop up when you thought it was going to be positive. And at one point, we actually decided we were going to just be like, you know what? Let's just, it's obviously not in the cards right now. She was going to go back to school. And we gave it one more shot. We were like, we're going to do this last month. And if it doesn't happen this month, we'll just maybe visit sometime down the road. But it actually happens.
Wow. That's a cool story.
Yeah. Just having her tell me to shut up, to get me to stop talking about what I was talking about, just to tell me the most life-changing news. It was a good. I'm glad that it kind of went down that way, actually.
And the girls all healthy, all good, no complications or anything.
No, none at all. My wife did have a pretty crazy labor. We did almost lose my wife. I'm my secondborn, but after the labor was complete. The doctors did a great job, but it was touch and go. After first one was born, I had that 30 minutes. It was just me and the firstborn, and not knowing what was going on, because the last thing I had seen was them wheeling my wife out and her basically looking like she was flatlining.
Oh, wow.
So, and then here I am holding my firstborn and just not knowing what to do. And they had to basically just walk me and kind of lead me into the waiting room, because I just wanted to go with my wife, of course. And I couldn't go where they were taking her to, because she actually ended up having one naturally and then one C-section, so which is not very normal. That's not the normal way to do it. But so just that waiting period, that 30 minutes seemed like, hours. But I felt guilty because the entire time I'm sitting there holding my firstborn, I'm trying to enjoy this as much as I can. But I know in the back of my mind that, what I last saw was something that
was scary.
Was so scary. The scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. So it kind of made it so hard, because it was hard to really enjoy those first few moments with my daughter. But as soon as I got the go ahead that everything was fine, the weight just lifted off to me. And when I first got to see my secondborn for that first time, it was, I'll never forget it.
Something special, huh?
So special, so special.
We did have some complications with our first and our third, where they actually had to spend some extra time in the hospital. And that was weird and difficult, because both of them were rushed to a different hospital while my wife was at the one that we were at when she gave birth to him. So that was kind of weird. So I had to actually go with the baby while all of my wife's family and my family stayed with her. Some of my family came with me too. But anyway, so it was very difficult. And I kind of had some situations like that where I was holding the baby and my wife was still sick because of whatever they give you or whatever. So there were definitely times where I was sitting there holding a baby and I was like, like you're saying, I knew what that moment was, but then my mind was also worried about health and all those things. So it's just a ton of emotions going through your mind at the time.
It's almost every emotion at once, it seems like, besides like the anger and things like that, but it's all the other emotions all wrapped up into one. That's
a good way to put it. It does feel like a little bit of a whirlwind of emotion, because you're emotional, it's your kid, and you're seeing it for the first time, and then all this other stuff going on. So
and you didn't think, I think I married my soulmate, but I didn't think I could love somebody as much but as soon as they came into this world, I didn't think that there was that much more I could give. But the love I have for my kids it's something, you can't describe it. It's unlike anything else. It's not like being in love. It's not like a love of another family member. It's a whole different level of just love. It is.
I think that's a good way to put it too. It's a different kind of love. It's on a whole nother level. Like you're saying, it's just,
you can't describe it. It really, I'm trying to do it here, but you kind of just get choked up and you can't get the words out right, because it's indescribable.
I bet there's fathers listening to this that know what we're saying, without even having to explain it, because they feel the same way. Yeah, we're lucky. We're blessed, man. We got some healthy kids, and we got some cute kids too. Being humble here, but they're pretty dang cute. Yeah, I love watching your girls on Facebook and on the social media and seeing pictures of them, and that's really neat for me. Me and you being as close as we are, and seeing us kind of both go through this process together. Kind of different stages of it, but still being able to share that.
Yeah, it's great, man.
Yeah, it's really cool for me. All right, Brandon Moses.
All right. Well, thanks for having me here again.
Talking daughters, talking about being a girl dad. We know other girl dads are out there. We hope you guys are listening and get something from this. And we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you, man.
All right, thank you, man.
Hi, this is Chad's youngest daughter. You are listening to my daddy, Chuck, and Barton on the Girl Dad podcast. Please like and subscribe and smash that like button.